This is the longest paved climb in the US, the road up to Haleakala in Maui, and there's me on my Brompton. Starting from sea level at Paia, we're going to be heading up 35 miles with an elevation gain of 10,000 feet. And along the way, there were awesome views, musubi, and even more views. So join me for all the details of this ride as I answer the question, will it climb? Today I'm here in Maui at Lower Paia Park, and today we're going to be doing a big challenge. As right now we're at sea level, but we're going to be climbing this big mountain behind me. So this is Haleakala, and of course the bike that I've decided to bring today to ride up it is my trusty Brompton. And off we go as we had a long ride ahead of us, and then I set off sort of moments before sunrise. And we start our ride here at the Paia town, and there's really just one turn you need to make here on the right onto Baldwin Avenue. I'll link the route below, but throughout this whole 36-mile ride one way, it's just a handful of turns you need to make. Fun little thing is that this Garmin is reading the one climb we need to do. Right now it says 35 miles, 10,000 feet, average grade 6%. As just a few moments from where we just were, you're going to end up on sort of this 2-lane road, and it's just going to be like this for a long time, as well as the gradients are going to hold very steady. Going along here, temperature today, really nice. It's probably like 18-20 degrees Celsius, and I hope it stays around this temperature. I think it will, since we're going to continually to climb, and ideal climbing temperature, especially coming from the Pacific Northwest. It doesn't get nearly this warm right now, so it feels almost like a nice summer ride. First sight of some real nice views, some open landscape, and the mountain in the back. So another few things I want to note about this section of the ride was that in terms of my experience, it was actually quite light in traffic. I rode this close to Christmas in the early morning, but at usual times during the school year, there's like whole rows of schools in this corridor, so it can potentially be super busy. And then otherwise, yeah, we are now going to be entering into the town of Makawao, and more importantly, our first rest stop here at the famous Komoda Store Bakery, featuring all the carb-heavy sort of delights that you would want, as well as if you need to use the restroom, there's one across the street. So today I have Alice, my wife, as my support, so this is going to make it a lot easier. And then in terms of my nutrition strategy for this ride, I'm going to go off the local favorite, which is the musubi. Got these from Foodland, the grocery store, and we're going to see how many of them I can eat on my way up. So here goes number one. So good every time, 10 out of 10. So after digesting that spam, it was time to go, and this is definitely the most congested part of the ride, which isn't too bad, but yeah, this next section here, definitely look out for, because it's both busy and super steep. I would say for the whole course, this was sort of the steepest section that I experienced, as well as the one right before the summit. So definitely heads up here as we're just now gonna work through it. Grade reads 11% right now, so that might be rough without a warm-up. But like all hills, they soon come to end, but then you reach probably what's the highest traffic stress section. I don't know why, it's just the road is much more narrow and there's just a lot of traffic going through. So we just gotta sort of grit our teeth and just ride as safe as we can. Let's do a legs check-in. 12.5 miles, 3,000 feet. Legs feel really good. Overall, really it's not too steep, this ride, in my relative terms. There was that one pitch after the bakery, but otherwise it's just real steady. 5-6%. Sometimes it eases, sometimes it ramps up a bit, but now the views are really starting, and that's what I'm here for. Just to ride along, smile, and enjoy the sights. You can see the water and West Maui behind me. And the amazing part about this ride is that you're not even a third way up in terms of elevation. So this sight that we're seeing now of everything continues to evolve as you keep going up, and it's just sort of constantly there in different ways till you literally go above the clouds. And I really can't speak about highly enough of that, but we soon approach our next rest stop, which is going to be the Kula Lodge. This is at mile 14 and elevation about 3,200, so just double of what we did before. And then in this spot, if you look to the right, there's this building with the restaurant, and then there's restrooms there. And then if you go to the bottom, there's like a general store that has some neat souvenirs. They have coffee and other stuff like that. So highly recommend a stop, but you all know what time it is. Musubi number 2, let's go. My wife is judging me. That's good. And if you've been enjoying this video so far, don't forget to roll the like button and subscribe, as I cover all sorts of things Seattle cycling, but also my adventures abroad, as that is really the reason why I bought this titanium Brompton folding bike, is so that I can take it really easily, still have a vacation, but somehow go climb a mountain with it. I've done a lot of the local grand fondos and stuff on it. I still have some challenges I would like to have fun with it, but yeah, this was really the primary use case, so I'm really excited to finally be able to do it as we approach some signs indicating the key turn to head towards the actual Haleakala National Park. So 22 miles to go as the switchbacks now begin. It'll be obvious also from just looking at the route on the map, but yeah, this is the idea of sort of what it's like, and it's just sort of gonna rinse and repeat till you really get closer towards the top in the national park. And know that this next section until then is sort of gonna get sort of a bit steeper. We're gonna be covering another 12 miles, but 4,000 feet of elevation gain this time to reach the visitor center. And until then, I don't think there's gonna be much more in the way of amenities, but I think there's some tour agencies that you can stop at, like Skyline. Speaking of which, we soon ran into one of those groups where basically they rent out a bunch of mountain bikes, they drive you to the top, and you just roll down. With the smooth pavement and panoramic views, definitely a must try. And then something to pay close attention to on the ride, there's a few of these cattle guards, especially for descent. The spacing is more than enough to fit most road tires, so just look out there and be prepared, especially on the descent. Right, so we're about 5,000 miles up, literally just half of the way. So if we were doing Hurricane Ridge, the full ride would be over, but here it is just beginning. And yeah, these switchbacks are endless. I mean, as a cyclist, a climber, this is the stuff that you want to see. I've never been to a European climb like this before, so this is the closest I've got to just endless switchbacks and a view the whole time. So it's pretty good. Let's keep working our way. We're gonna go straight for the visitor center. Got it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm here at almost 6,000 feet. It's actually really hot. It's still like 26 degrees Celsius. So I was expecting it to be cooler by now, but not yet. I mean, that's really a blessing. But it's kind of tiring and a little bit hot, draining a little more water than I expected. These pockets of shade has never felt so good. And that brings us back to here, just outside of the national park's bounds, where I can get my last drone shots. This just shows you the scale of just how much you're really climbing through this ride as we enter the final part of this epic journey. We're here at the sign and the toll booth, so now we get to pay and get in.
Aloha, I think I might have met your spouse. Did she come
Yes.
on? Yeah, you're the one!
Yeah.
She was like, my husband will be on his way. Why did we decide to take the bike?
I'm really into bikes. Alright, here we are. Elevation 7,000 feet. 7/10 of the way finished. Well, less than a third to go. Visitor center. Let's go. It's a bit of a plot twist. There apparently is 2 visitor centers here. One called the Haleakala Visitor Center near the summit, and one here. My spouse was supposed to meet me here. She had my food, so now I'm relying on some macadamia nuts that I bought from the visitor center, and I'm just gonna ride up and hope I find her. Back on the road. That threw me for a big loop, but I've been saved by the visitor center macadamia nuts, and we just gotta finish these last 10 miles now. At least I have a full water, 4 granola bars, and a full pack of nuts. I think that can get me there, and I'm 95% sure my spouse went too far ahead. So yeah, that was a bit of miscommunication on my part. I didn't give her the exact coordinates, We're really above the clouds now.
And it's really worth pointing out just how clear a day it is today. It is almost impossible to get a perfect read on the wind and weather, as you're basically traveling through a lot of different weather systems going up in elevation, but generally the wet and the clouds come in the afternoon. So if you can, ride this early and get up so you can do the descent also in relative peace.
So I finally reunited with my spouse at this parking lot. This is Musubi number 3. This will get me to the finish. Luckily today it's just such a nice day that yeah, it's not time pressured, so we're gonna finish this off strong. Let's go. My legs are revived again, so that was definitely the death zone of this climb. So now let's just enjoy it.
And as we continue going here, shout out to Phil Guyman, who recently got his KOM on this whole segment. He finished it in 2 hours and a half. Today I was not going for time at all, and I think for most people I would highly recommend saving as much gas as you can for the final 3,000 feet. It's just a lot more spread out. It's really exposed, as you can see here, and you just gotta work your way through it, as I think everyone's gonna respond to elevation changes pretty differently.
All right, just about 9,000 feet. I think I'm feeling the elevation. It's not super obvious, but the pedals are getting harder to turn. Yeah, feeling good. Yeah, maybe just a little weaker. Look at that sweet hairpin in descent. 9,400 feet. This is the struggle bus now. We're so close, but my legs are just barely pedaling. I'm just holding on now. Just pedaling what I can. Air feels thin. We're on to the final straights here. Let's do it.
As your cue that you're pretty close to the end is when you see the sort of observatory, I think it is, at the end there. It is very deceptive in terms of how far it is, but you will eventually get to that turn, and then once you make it past, you'll see that there is another visitor center and parking lot there, but there is a formal finish towards the right where you'll have one last climb towards the summit parking lot.
We're at the visitor center, which is actually not quite the top yet, but this is what it looks like here. Big open parking lot. And then here I met
Karthik and
Ashton.
They recognized the Brompton, and apparently they've seen one of my videos.
saw one of your videos, and because of the video, we bought a Vincita bag,
Nice.
which we packed and
Our Bromptons in
our
to go to
Bromptons
Spain.
to go to Spain, and we traveled around Spain with on trains and put our Bromptons in, moved them all around, and carried all of our gear. But because of this channel,
That's awesome. So yeah,
Although we did not do the summit.
next time,
Yeah.
bring your Bromptons.
So that was such an awesome coincidence, and I love meeting all of you out there. Usually it's in Seattle, but all the way out in Hawaii, I guess it happens too. So after 35 miles of non-stop climbing, you are almost there. So it's one last final stretch, but probably the hardest challenge as well.
Here's some of the steepest bits for the last section. Here, let's go.
These are the moments where I wish I had just one more gear, as I'm just zigzagging a bit, just doing what I can to push through. But also, this is part of the ride where you actually start to see the crater. Throughout the whole time before, it was like a lot of awesome scenery of like lava rocks and plants, but now it's just something completely different and to distract you from the pain. But soon you'll see your final destination, the summit building right there.
It's definitely steepest here. They left the worst for last. Oh, okay.
Yay! Woo!
Made it. I think up to the summit side. Damn. Thank you. Woo! Oh, and we finally made it. It was a good ride, but we made it up here. It's still a really nice day. Thank you. And then I'll show you some of the view from up here. And that is some of it from here in the summit, but more importantly, you can see the crater from right here. Oh,
And I wouldn't be a Brompton rider without taking a photo of it folded up. So here it is, this little bike that can take you around cities, but apparently on top of volcanoes as well, as this was probably my favorite shot of the whole day. And I'm really excited of where else I'm going to be able to climb with this thing.
To answer the question, will a T-Line Brompton Explorer climb the longest paved climb in the US? Yes, it will. So we made it. And yeah, I mean, that was definitely more than enough gears. I think near the end I got a little tired with all the elevation and the sun. This is just a really nice day and the sun is just beating very, very hard. So that was a lot harder than I expected, but it overall wasn't too steep. The steepest sections was near the bottom and definitely the final push into the summit. What goes up must come down. So we're just going to descend to the national park limits. After that, there's like these big cattle guards, as well as my spouse actually is here with me. So I'm gonna relieve her of her long duties today. It's been a very long ride, 6 hours elapsed getting up here. So let's see what the descent is like. At this point, I've gotten pretty used to descending mountain passes on my Brompton. It works really quite well, especially if the pavement is good. And honestly, this course is as good as it gets, all the way until the section where you get closer to the towns when you saw that much traffic. But near this top in the national park, you are golden. Pay mind to changing conditions. As you head into the lower elevations, you might run straight into the clouds with less visibility. But yeah, overall, I highly recommend this climb. This was actually a life bucket list item for me, so I have a few other ideas of places I want to ride on top of. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of my ride. If this is something that you want to try, I highly recommend it. And I think that was all I had for this video, so let me know your comments in below, and I'll see you all in the next one.